listeners. Happy Monday. Welcome back to your Monday Morning Jumpstart. I am Jade Trueblood, and today I have a very, 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 did I say very special guest with us, Terri Trespicio. If you don't know Terri, you're one of those ladies that it's like, it's multi-layered description. Writer, speaker, brand advisor, author, copywriter, podcast listener. There's so many things that encompass you. If anybody wants to be impressed by you, I would say that Terri has a very impressive TED Talk that has surpassed 7 million views.
Eight, just past 8.
Are we on 8? Oh my gosh. Well, maybe this will get 9. So with all of that, welcome, Terri Trespicio.
Thank you. It's very kind.
Jumpstart.
Remember, I've been around a little while, so I've had to find lots of things to do. And that's why I've done so many different things.
No, I love it. I love the diversification. But I think success doesn't come from nowhere, right? Success comes from work. And I've had the pleasure of listening to a bit of your trainings and your teachings. And I can tell and know that you have put in the work and are now like teaching others how that they can put in the work in order to garner their own success. One of the first lessons you like people to look into is like rules, baggage, things that we are carrying that might be holding us back. Like if you think of weights holding people back, can you talk a little bit about those to the listeners today?
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is what holds us back before we even start or attempt to start is this belief that we can't. And I'm not just talking about rah self-esteem. I'm talking about rules. We grew up complying with rules, and they play a very pivotal, role in our lives. They teach us how the world works. They teach us how to behave. All those things are fine. But what happens is if we don't get past old rules, then we remain stuck there. So what happens is, the rules go underground. We forget or we don't realize we're still complying with things that are there. And what do I mean by rules like that? Well, it could be any rule, like think about, especially if you are trying to start a new career, let's say as a copywriter or changing things. You might think, oh, well, the rule is, writers don't make money or they can't make much money. You might even have a rule in your mind that you are supposed to be married by the time you're 35 or have a kid by the time there's all kinds of things that we think. Maybe another rule is you have to just work harder than everyone else or you won't go anywhere. Or after a certain age, you can't be successful. None of these things are true. And we might say intellectually, oh, no, those aren't true, but we don't behave that way. The challenge, Jade, in my mind, is that we can't change what we don't see. And so a big part of, and this is my own learnings, the big part of what we do first is really study our relationship to the rules. Look, I grew up Catholic. We got a lot of rules, I'm the firstborn Catholic, straight A. I mean, I only defined my success by how well I followed the rules. And today I am not a big rule breaker, but what I've done is rewrite them for myself as a grown-up. And we don't usually take the time to do this because rules in and of themselves are not a problem. The problem is when we don't know what we're complying with and we feel held back invisibly and we don't know why. Yeah. But you also asked about baggage.
Yes. So step 1, bring awareness to the rules that might be governing you, holding you back. Because sometimes it's even just a low voice, right? Like, I'm going to start a business. Well, I can't start a business because I haven't done this. I don't know, all those things.
But say it, right? Rather than go, oh, I don't know why I can't do it. I just can't. Why? Ask yourself, why, and write it down and just say the ridiculous. Well, I can't do it because I'm X age or because this. Like, that's ridiculous. Who said that's true? Who are the idea police who are going to take you in for breaking that rule? The other part of that is, and this is a big part of it, is the idea of baggage. And the way I think about baggage, because I really hate the word, to me, the way people interpret baggage is what's happened to me, the things that happened to me that maybe I had no hand in doing, or maybe I made a mistake in my life or what I think is a mistake and this happened. We think of emotional baggage, right? We think of things that weigh us down. Those are beliefs too, but they're tied up with what happened. So, if you assume you have too much baggage so you can't do X, Y, Z, that's just as bad. So as someone who loves bags, listen, You can't take me in. I will shop and look. I'll consider every bag that comes up on Instagram. I love bags. I hate baggage. So my mental trick was baggage seems to be the thing that happened to us that maybe wasn't our fault, that was foisted upon us. Maybe you got divorced and it wasn't your idea, or maybe you got laid off and you were traumatic about that. You might go, I have all this baggage. No. How about luggage? How about we choose what we pack and take with us? Because you can't change what happened, but you can choose what to take with you. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I can't help you get rid of your deeply wired trauma. You need a professional for that if that's holding you back. But for most of us, we're talking little t trauma, where we just assume we can't do certain things. But what if we said, well, this happened and that happened. What did I learn from it? I'm going to pack that. I'm going to take it with me, but I'm going to travel light.
Yeah, I think as well, like there's a rule about baggage, right? It's like almost like that we're not allowed to put it down and that we do have it, right?
Correct.
And so you're giving the allowance of, let's cut the rule that you have to carry the baggage. It has to be something that scarred you. It also has to be something that everybody sees on you, which is not the truth or not true about you, right? And it's almost like you get to define you from today, right? It doesn't matter what happened back then. Who you choose and what you choose to pack into your luggage right now is what you move forward with and what carries you through to the next stage, and not what happened to you, because we can't choose that part, right? We often can't choose the husband leaving retrenched, but we can choose what happens afterwards and how we carry that with us. So I love that.
Yeah. Well, we will add one thing, which is a little bit of a liability. You've got to ask yourself, are you really willing to let go of the baggage? Because a lot of people do hang on to it because they've had it so long, it defines them.
Yes.
And so they'll say, but without it, who am I? Without it, I'm not deserving of justice, or, I'm important because I have this baggage, or I am who I am because of this baggage. Do you trust that you are more than the things that you carry? That's a real question, because sometimes if you let go of a certain incident, then what are you going to hang on? It leaves a vacuum, and we're afraid of allowing for that space. And so you got to ask yourself, not just what's sticking to me, but what am I carrying? Because even if it's baggage, you are carrying it. And as you say, you are allowed to put it down.
Yes. I think as well, sometimes, and this is like a real deep exploration into self, we like the reaction of how people react when we talk about our baggage.
Yes. I love it.
We love it. I told the story of I came to the country and my ex-boyfriend cheated on me within the first 2 weeks of being here. Oh my God. Oh, poor Jade. And and then I go from victim. And then I go from victim to like hero, and you made it and you got through it. You know what I'm saying? And both of those feelings feel great. Being like getting empathy and then being framed as like a hero feels great. But if I lived in that all the time, that would be my story, right?
Yeah, but Jade, it is a real story, and it's a good story, and you might choose to share it. There's nothing wrong with sharing it. Where baggage, this is a really interesting example. The difference between that, because now you're like, and it's a hero story. You came out of it and you have your life and you're happier now. People love to hear those moments. I'm not saying pretend they didn't happen, but if you said, well, that happened, so I can't trust anyone and everyone's out there, then it skews your view of everything. Now you're stuck. Yes. But because you're not stuck, we can talk about the things that happened. Yes, for sure.
Didn't define you as a part of your story. So I like that.
They define part of you in your life, but they don't define what you're capable of doing.
Yes. There's a song, and I wish I knew the artist. She's British, but she talks about like some man that did her wrong, story, love, great.
Of course.
But she talks about that all that is going to be for her is a stepping stone. Like, I'm not going to carry it. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to wear it. It's just going to be a stepping stone to the next thing. And I think that can help you like redefine these things, right? Yes, it happened. Yes, it's there. Maybe you choose to carry it. Maybe it's a part of your story, but it's just a stepping stone onto better and greater. And also that you deserve that despite,
yes, you deserve it. And what would we be if we didn't have pitfalls, mistakes, if we weren't hurt? I don't trust someone who either says they were never hurt or had nothing bad happen, because first of all, I don't believe that you can make it on the earth without being hurt by someone at some time. But, this happens to all of us. And who would we be without it? In a way, I'm going to say it does define. I remember having a low point and I was crying to my sisters. I have 2 younger sisters. And I was like, but this is like, I'm so sad and it's bad. And I feel terrible about myself. And they were like, well, you need this low point, don't you? Because when the high point comes, you got to point back to low point. But unfortunately, you have to live through the low point. And I was like, that's true.
As much as it sucks, it's just all a part of human experience, right? We are humans and we experience some stuff. And I think, so I love these lessons of what you do after the stuff happens to you, right?
Right.
So to recap, what do we do with rules and what do we do with baggage?
So the rules, it's worth, listen, I make everyone write down the answers, but since you all are writers, I know that you can do this. I give a prompt I give 2, pick whichever one you like. Write about a rule that you've felt held back by. Set a timer for 10 minutes and just write it. Don't even think, what was the time? Just start writing. And what was the rule that you felt held back by? And do you still feel held back by it? And another great prompt is a time you broke the rules. When did you break a rule? What did it feel like? Where were you? Get your ideas and your stories. Don't ignore them. Don't suppress them. Get them out onto the page because you'll look at them and understand yourself better. And I'm sorry, you cannot be a strong writer, copywriter, successful if you aren't able to translate real feeling to the page. So consider this a step for feeding your inner writer so that you can be an even more valuable writer to others.
I want an amen. Hallelujah. It's so good. Well, everybody, this is just the first taste of Terri with us. Terri's going to join us again next week. We're going to be busting a myth. I've always wanted to be on that show. So this is our chance, Mythbusters. We're going to be busting a myth about the comfort zone. We will see everybody then. Thank you so much, Terri.
Thank you.